What is up, everybody? This is Adam with cloudautomation.blog. In this video, I'm going to go through some pretty cool things around Azure SQL Platform as a Service. So, getting in there, messing around, a lot of cool things happen within Azure. But if you're in an enterprise or in a larger company where you maybe don't want everyone logging into the Azure portal or into the AWS or Google portal, and you want to offer cloud services through some type of a portal, vRA Automation, ServiceNow, there's a ton out there, but there's some type of that front-end portal where you're offering that service. And in this video, I'm going to show how I've published Azure SQL Platform as a Service within vRA. So, we're all familiar, if you've dug into Azure, you can go over here, you can click SQL Databases, you can create a new SQL database, and it asks you for all the information that it needs. So the database name, the subscription, the resource group, the source, if you're actually cloning a database, the actual SQL server, so the actual server that it's going to spin up to host that SQL database, if it's part of an elastic pool, the pricing tier, and then the collation. So how do we actually replicate this within vRA? So as you can see here, I have Azure SQL Platform as a Service, the out-of-the-box Azure VM, some of the more advanced things I've done with the Azure VM offering within vRA, Azure Websites, and then just a basic Windows 2012 R2 VM. This is actually a vCenter or vSphere VM. So if I just drill into this guy right here, you can just see I've added it under a service, Platform as a Service, so I can request this. Let me drill into this a little bit more within vRA, go to Comment Parameters. And a couple things I've done here, which I'm going to expand on later videos, some of the functionality that I've done here. In the out-of-the-box offering that VMware gives you for Azure VMs, you have to actually input a UUID of the subscription. So you actually have to know that. That's really kludgy and cumbersome. So what I've done is I have an action that's actually populating that name from vRA. So you can click that. You can create or reuse a resource group. So I'm actually going to, for this demo, I'm going to create a new one just so you can see the functionality. And I'm going to name this my new RG for resource group, and then blog, and then the database name that I'm going to create. And because I'm creating a new resource group name, I actually need to create a new SQL Server database. So the actual physical or virtual, in this case, server that this database instance is going to run on. Just for demo purposes, I'm going to go back up here and actually click existing, and you'll see some things change. So you can see the resource group name. I'm going to use an existing one. So it queries your Azure account and looks for resource groups. I'm going to select this resource group cab01, the database name, and then if there's any SQL servers under that resource group. So maybe let me go onto the cab test site. So as soon as I click that cab test site, I can go down here, and this should have updated automatically. So yeah, you can see here, these are all the SQL servers, the actual SQL database servers under that resource group that I can now use. In the case of this demo, I'm going to go back and actually create a new resource group, the location of that SQL server. So I'm going to go US East. I just put your region here, so this is completely customizable. US East. The size, just basic, the admin username, and then the database collation that you want. So I'm just going to click submit on this. So the request was submitted successfully. Let me click OK. Let me jump over to vRA. Now we jumped over here to vRA, and you'll see that the workflow is currently executing. It pulls some data out of vRA from what the user entered. It either creates or updates the resource group. It's now actually creating that SQL server within Azure. And then the last step is when it actually creates the SQL database on that SQL server. We can see our variables down here that the user entered in the previous form on vRA Automation. So that is complete. It now just provisioned the database, and the workflow was successful. So if we jump back into the Azure portal and I go over to resource groups, we should see that new resource group that was created. So you can see here my new resource group blog in East US. So if I drill into that, we should see some SQL servers. So you can see here the actual SQL server that's hosting it. So my new DB server -123 is the name I gave it, and then -1213, that's the month and the day, and then -56 is a random number generation. And the reason I did this is in case I wanted to spin up 10 or 12 servers, or maybe this was a project name, just something to identify and make this unique. And then the actual SQL database itself that was created on top of that. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to see more, let me know what you'd like to see. I do plan on future blogs and actually drilling into some of the functionality that went into this. Leave a comment on the video or hit me up on Twitter. Thanks for watching my video. Have a great day.